Hi, today I wanted to do a quick video and show you how ChatGPT can't always be trusted to teach you things. And so you might want to take what it says with a grain of salt. Now, I'm going to use an example where I've asked ChatGPT to explain to me how to use a slide rule and what they're for, etc., etc. Now, if you're not familiar with slide rules, this is a slide rule, and it comes with various scales, which we'll talk about in the ChatGPT. But basically, this is quite a large 12-inch scale, but the smaller 6-inch scales only have sort of A, B, C, and D scales. Sometimes they have C inverse, or CI, which is basically just the C scale backwards. But this is the base, the bit that doesn't move, right? So this doesn't move around. This is the base. This thing that slides back and forth is called the slide. And this thing, which also slides, but it's called the cursor because you can see the hairline cursor on here. Now, if we go back to my session with ChatGPT, you can see that I've asked it to explain how to use a slide rule and what it is. It does tell me correctly what they're used for. It's a calculating device, etc., etc. It's got the slide and the index and the cursor. Oh, sorry, the index. If I just flip back to this, the index is basically where this 1 is. It's the first start, the start of the scale, or the start of the other end of the scale is also an index. So the indexes are on either end of the scale. So when they refer to the index, they're just talking about the start or the end of the scale. Now, so I go down and I said, okay, well, what's the L scale? And it explains that it's the logarithmic scale, etc., etc. I do have one on my this larger slide rule, but not on the smaller ones. And then I ask it what the A, B, C, and D scales are for, and it says they're used for complement main scales, multiplication, division, etc., sines, cosines. Interestingly, here it says B, raising numbers to specific powers. This isn't actually correct, which we'll see later, because I ask it, how do you use the B scale to raise 3 to a power of 3? Because it said you can use it to raise to a power, specific powers. In fact, it only squares numbers. It does not cube them or do any other power. But ChatGPT decides to press on with its incorrect information, and it tells me locate the B scale, set the cursor, identify the index, move the cursor, read the result, and the result will be the value of 27, which is 3 raised to the power of 3. So if we actually follow these instructions, this is the B scale here. I can put the cursor over the 3, but actually what you really should do is you put the index over the 3, all right? So the index is the 1 and there's 3. So you can see these are now lined up. And now I should be able to slide the cursor, or the cursor hairline over to the number 3, and it will read out 27. But in fact, you can see it's 9 because it only squares it. It does not cube it. The B scale will not cube a number. So we go back here and it says, I'm a bit confused about what you're calling the cursor, the terminology I'm familiar with. So I try and get it to tell me in a way that I can understand using the terminology I want. It tells me the same thing, and it should give me 27. It is the same exact operation, just with different names. It doesn't work. That didn't work. Apologies. Apparently I'm not doing it right. So it tells me how to locate the base and blah, 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 blah. And the result should be 27. It's not. Okay, so I said, okay, well, I've got 2 scales on the base, A and D. Which one of these should I be using with the B scale? Maybe I'm doing this, using the others wrong. Ah, well, if it has a D scale, you should use A for calculation of raising numbers, reciprocals and power, as for calculation involving higher roots, such as 4th, 5th, 6th root, blah, blah, blah. But in the case, you should use the A scale, as said earlier. Right, your instructions don't work, try again. So it does, and again, shows a 9, which is not the cube. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm sorry about the confusion. Here's how you do it using the D scale. Blah, 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 blah. Doesn't work. Try again. It constantly tries to feed you this lie. It doesn't actually know the answer. So, but it's pressing on, trying to convince you that it knows the answer and it's just going to work. So what am I doing wrong here? I thought the B was used to raise a number to a power, because that's what it said earlier. And then I keep trying, and no, it's cubed, blah, blah, blah. We keep going through all of this. I keep trying to do it following its instructions. It's never, ever going to work, by the way. So we keep trying until eventually I come back and say, you cannot cube a number with A, B, and C scales. You have to have K to cube a number. Oh yeah, you're correct. Sorry. So basically, you cannot rely on ChatGPT to give you the correct number, information, instructions all the time, because it is not a teacher, it's a chat bot. And it will just try and keep the conversation going. And if it has to lie to do that, then that's what it's going to do. If it doesn't know the answer, it just makes some crap up and feeds it to you. So there are lots of YouTube videos I've seen lately of using it as a teacher or a tutor. But it will work. It will answer questions correctly. It can show you how to do, various math operations. It'll be able to explain theorems. It can help you with your writing or whatever. But it's not a teacher, and it's not always accurate. So you have to be careful when you use it. Now, if you already know how to use a slide rule, then you would know that this is wrong and it was never going to work. But if you didn't know, then you would just keep plugging away and thinking you were wrong because the super duper chat AI artificial intelligence thing is telling you that's how it works. But actually, it's just wrong. So my main message here is everything with ChatGPT or any other AI, take it with a grain of salt, because it's not always accurate and it will just make something up. So be careful. One thing it is good and useful for is recommending books that will tell you how to actually do it, written by a human being, which is very good. In fact, for slide rules, I will include a link to a professor on YouTube who shows you how to use all of the various scales to do sine, cosines, tangents, multiplications, cubes, squares, proportions, everything you want to know on a slide rule. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you have watched it and enjoyed it. And if you've watched it this long, please press the like button. That really does help out. You don't have to subscribe, but press the like button.